Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Vallabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare Rama normal Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Radha Govind Radha Govind Radhe. Jaya Gauranitai 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 Jaya Gauranitai. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Jai Om Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivrajikacharya Stota Shatashi Srimad Divine Grace Abhay Charana Arvinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की नामाचार्य शील हरिदास ठाकुर की प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की श्री श्री राधा गोविंद देव की श्री श्री गौनिताय की श्रीला प्रभुपाद की Nitai Gaura Premanande. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories, all glories, all glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamutirare Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama-shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. Hare Krishna, we are reading from Canto 3, chapter 27, verse number 26. Evam vidita tattvasya prakritir maimanasam nyunjato napakuruta Atma Ramasya Karhichit. Evam vidita tattvasya prakritir maimanasam yunjato napakuruta Atma Ramasya Karhichit. Evam vidita tattvasya prakritir maimanasam yunjato napakuruta Atma Ramasya Karhichit. Evam vidita tattvasya prakritir maimanasam yunjato napakuruta Atma Ramasya Karhichit. Evam vidita tattvasya paisam kuruta atma ramasya karhichit. It's more, one more cantrip, Dino Mataji's brahmacharya class. Evam vidita tattvasya prakriti maimanasam yunjato man kuruta atmaramasya karhichit. Evam, thus, vidita tattvasya, to one who knows the absolute truth, prakritihi, material nature, my, on me, manasam, the mind, yunjataha, fixing, na, not, apakurute, can do harm, atma aramasya, to one who rejoices in the self, karhichit, at any time. Translation and purport by Sri Prabhupada, Sri Prabhupada ki. Translation: the influence of material nature cannot harm an enlightened soul, even though he engages in material activities, because he knows the truth of the Absolute and his mind is fixed on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Please repeat. The influence of material nature cannot harm an enlightened soul, even though he engages in material activities, because he knows the truth of the Absolute and his mind is fixed on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Purport: Lord Kapila says that Mai Manasam, a devotee whose mind is always fixed upon the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is called Atma Rama or Vidita Tattva. Atma Rama means one who rejoices in the self or one who enjoys in the spiritual atmosphere. Atma, in the material sense, means the body or the mind. But when referring to one whose mind is fixed on the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord, Atma Rama means one who is fixed in spiritual activities in relationship with the Supreme Soul. The Supreme Soul is the personality of Godhead and the individual soul is the living entity. When they engage in reciprocation of service and benediction, the living entity is said to be in the Atma Rama position. This Atmarama position can be attained by one who knows the truth as it is. The truth is that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the enjoyer and that the living entities are meant for His service and enjoyment. One who knows this truth and who tries to engage all resources in the service of the Lord escapes all material reactions and influences of the modes of material nature. An example may be cited in this connection. Just as a materialist engages in constructing a big skyscraper, a devotee engages in constructing a big temple for Vishnu. Superficially, the skyscraper constructor and the temple constructor are on the same level, for both are collecting wood, stone, iron, and other building materials. But the person who constructs a skyscraper is a materialist, and the person who constructs a temple of Vishnu is Atma Rama. The materialist tries to satisfy himself in relation to his body by constructing a skyscraper, but the devotee tries to satisfy the super self, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, by constructing the temple. Although both are engaged in the association of material activities, the devotee is liberated and the materialist is conditioned. This is because the devotee who is constructing the temple has fixed his mind upon the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But the non-devotee who is constructing the skyscraper has his mind fixed in sense gratification. If while performing any activity, even in material existence, one's mind is fixed upon the lotus feet of the personality of Godhead, one will not be entangled or conditioned. The worker in devotional service, in full Krishna consciousness, is always independent of the influence of material nature. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shiva Sadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare एवं विदित तत्वस्य प्रकृतिर्मयि मानसं युञ्जतो नापकुरुत आत्मा रामस्य करहिचित्. That means the influence of material nature cannot harm an enlightened soul even though he engages in material activities, because he knows the truth of the Absolute and his mind is fixed on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, before I begin, I would like to seek the blessings of all the assembled devotees. In this verse, actually, if you see in connection to what Lord Kapila is speaking, in the previous verse, he was talking about consciousness, and in this section, he is urging his mother to take to devotional service as the best of all yoga practice. And in this verse, he says, fixing the mind upon the Supreme Personality of Godhead, that is most important. And because of which, the devotee, the enlightened soul, even though he engages in material activities, he can remain in a liberated position. So Atma Rama, the Supreme Lord is also called as Atma Rama. Atma Rama means one who is self-satisfied, one who doesn't need anything external to please him. He is called as Atma Rama. Therefore, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is Atma Rama. Similarly, those who are the devotees of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, they are also called as Atma Ram. Why? Because apart from Krishna consciousness, they don't need anything material to satisfy them. That means even in service, they are looking for pleasure of Krishna. Even whatever we do, one is saying how I can benefit spiritually. That is Atma Rama. How this is pleasing to Krishna, that is Atma Rama. Anywhere there is a tinge of presence of self-satisfaction in the sense of satisfaction of mind or senses, immediately is not Atma Rama. Because anything to do with sensual pleasure, you need to acquire from external source, third party. So recently we were reading Srimad Bhāgavatam in the first canto, I think 1.2.12 or 13, one of the verses, Srila Prabhupada was saying, in the purport, Srila Prabhupada was saying that a Kanishta Adhikari, a Kanishta devotee is one who cannot balance well or who cannot weigh properly material benefit and transcendental profit. This is a proper statement. That means when a Kanishta Adhikari, he might succumb to material benefit over transcendental profit. Whereas Uttam Adhikari or even Madhyam Adhikari is one who sees how this is pleasing to Krishna, or he sees how this is spiritually uplifting me over what are the material benefits. Isn't it? That means For example, if one is looking for material benefit, he generally takes prasadam, but when he has an item which is prepared by a non 16 rounder devotee, or not devotee, a person who is not chanting 16 rounds, if someone prepares that and gives him, and that's his favorite item, he has been relishing it since his childhood, he might not mind taking it by saying it's okay, it's once in a while, isn't it? So therefore, that is where you can easily understand. That is, he is weighing material benefit over transcendental profit. Whereas Madhyama is one who can easily understand, this is good for my Krishna consciousness, so I will pursue it. So this is easy example to understand. Now you can take in terms of austerities. When we perform austerities also, sometimes there is material benefit and there is transcendental profit. Many times people also take, even devotees, they take up fasting as one of the austerities. It's a very thin line, because in today's world, weight loss or to look very slim and thin, that is also there. So when people actually do fasting, they will say, Prabhu, today I'm fasting for, say, Purushottam Mass, I'm fasting. Okay, you may fast for Purushottam Mass, but what is your consciousness? Krishna knows. We may get into the understanding that, yes, this Prabhu is fasting for Purushottam Mass, but sometimes people may do it out of weight gain. And that's what Kulashekar says. I don't know how to access Mukund Mala Stotra, but if anyone can open it, Mukund Mala Stotra, verse 21, he says, even when someone is fasting, not for the Supreme Person of Godhead, not to please the Krishna, then what happens? His fasting only helps him reduce weight. That's all. It doesn't do anything transcendental for him. So, basically I want to just make a point that, you got it? Yeah. So I just wanted to make a point that it is a very thin line sometimes, material benefit and transcendental profit. So therefore, we have to be very careful. Atma Rama means he doesn't want anything from the material world. Actually, we have to understand what is the position of the living entity. The position of living entity is, the living entity is spirit by nature. And spirit only can enjoy spirit. Spirit belongs to the spiritual world. Spirit can associate with spirit. It degrades and comes to a fallen position when it associates with matter. Isn't it? So, spirit cannot actually enjoy matter. The very fact that spirit is trying to enjoy matter in this world is called as diseased condition. In Isha Upanishad purport, Sri Prabhupada calls it as increasing the material fever. So people in this world are contributing to increasing the material fever. People are becoming more and more sickly. Sometimes when everyone is sick and you are the only healthy one, people may think something is wrong with you, because everyone around you is sick, isn't it? So therefore, during Prabhupada times, they had written in a news article or something, the crazy, or someone had said something about Hare Krishnas being crazy, isn't it? And then in, I think it was article, Prabhupada wrote in Back to Godhead magazine, the materialists think that we are crazy, but we know that they are crazy. Isn't it? Prabhupada written Back to Godhead magazine. Why? Because people think what is most commonly accepted in this world, that is the norm. But it's not true. Please let us remind ourselves, we are in the prison cell. Isn't it? In the prison cell, whom do you expect to find? Criminals. Isn't it? So we are all criminals. And how do you know if a particular person is a criminal? If he has a material body, that's his dress. The black and white dress they have, the material body is the dress. So very fact that we have this material body shows that we are a prisoner in the prison cell of Maya Devi. Like say you're constructing a city. When you're constructing a city, you're planning for the city. In the blueprint you have many things. You have garden, you know where the park should come. You know where the schools should come. You know where the hospitals should come. You know where are the residential locations in the city. And you also make some place for a prison cell. Isn't it? Similarly, in the construction of this creation, the Supreme Lord has 3/4 of the creation. Ekam Shena Sthito Jagat means this material world is only a small, tiny fraction of it. So everything is planned out. Vaikuntha Loka, Ayodhya Dham, Golok Vrindavan, Mathura Dham, everything is there for devotees to relish whatever type of rasas they want. But while all these things exist, there's also some portion of creation given for material world. Why? Because there'll be some fellow who will go against Krishna's laws and come to this material world. So once a reporter asked Srila Prabhupada, what will happen if everyone chants Hare Krishna and becomes a pure devotee and goes back to Godhead? What will happen to this material world? With great concern he asked. So Prabhupada said, don't worry, there'll always be one fool like you to stay back and have the material world run around. So in this way you find the innumerable number of living entities in this material world who are just called as criminals, but that is only one small fraction of it. But it doesn't make any sense to say one infinity is bigger than another infinity, but for our understanding, but there are more infinite number of souls in the spiritual world relishing transcendental rasas, isn't it? So this is all simply we are all amongst other criminals, and people who are coming to the temple, people who are taking up to Krishna consciousness, these are the ones who are ready to reform. And therefore, though the souls are called as Nitya Baddha, that is eternally conditioned in the material world, still one can actually reform himself and go back to Godhead. It is there. Just like in a prison cell, someone can be given death statement, isn't it? Now when that death statement is given, sometimes if he is behaving well, if he has reformed his character, if he is doing all the chores given to him, then the president can write his name away and say that he can be granted pardon, isn't it? So therefore, when we worship Krishna under the guidance of a bona fide spiritual master, immediately we can go back home, back to Godhead. So therefore, as long as we have this material body, there is a tendency to think, I want to enjoy matter. We don't actually belong to this material world. But because we have this material body and this strong identification, because of which, with this body, because of which one thinks, I am supposed to enjoy matter. But that trying to enjoy matter only gives kicks. So Prabhupada says, when the male donkey goes behind a female donkey for sex, immediately the female donkey kicks on the face of the male donkey. Pat, 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 like that he says in the lecture. And then he says, after receiving the kicks, the male donkey only smiles and says, probably she likes me even more. And again goes behind material pleasure. So material pleasure is never compatible with the spirit soul. It's like putting iOS software in Android phone. It will not work, iOS software is meant for iPhone. Android is meant for the other phones. So therefore, what is important is to understand we don't need material pleasure at all. And therefore the devotees of the Supreme Lord, who are being addressed as enlightened soul, evam vidita tattvasya, those people who know the truth actually that I am not this body, I am spirit soul. And I am not a spirit soul wandering in Brahman, but I am a spirit soul part and parcel of Krishna. Mamai vamsho jiva loke jiva bhuta sanatanaha. Krishna is telling all these living entities, Arjuna, they're all my parts and parcels. Krishna is claiming proprietorship. He's not saying these are living entities or these are spirit souls. These are my parts and parcels. Therefore, Prabhupada says in the purport, Atma Rama means one who is fixed in spiritual activities in relationship with the Supreme Soul. Because this is actual relationship. And having forgotten that relationship, we are trying to cultivate many other relationships in this world, which are all non-existent actually, all temporary. Sayujjante viyujjante comes in Chitraketu Maharaj section. In the nature of this world is people come together trying to enjoy one another, thinking he will give me happiness, she will give me happiness, but everyone leave and never to meet again. Probably you will never meet your mother again, after this life. Yeah. Unless you become a devotee or God knows. Isn't it? So therefore the relationship between souls also is through the Supreme Soul. Otherwise the relationship has no Meaning, the actual relationship exists between Krishna and the spirit soul. So, of course, we know Srimad Bhāgavatam 1.7.10, the famous Atmarama verse. So, it would be injustice if I don't quote that. Atmaramascha munayo nirgrantha apyurukrame kurvanti haitukim bhaktim ittam bhuto guno harihi. This verse says, actually, how is it that the person has attained the position of Atmarama? Atmaramas are glorious because Krishna is glorious. This verse says of all the different kinds of Atmaramas, Brahmavadi, Prabhupada says there are different kinds of transcendentalists. Of all the different kinds of transcendentalists, those who engage in ahaitukim bhaktim, that means kurvanti ahaitukim bhaktim, in unalloyed service to the Supreme Person of Godhead, such Atmaramas are the best of all the Atmaramas. Why? Because they are engaging in supreme occupation. So, in the purport, Sri Prabhupada, when he talks about Atmarama, he is talking about this best kind of Atmarama. Though there are other kinds of Atmaramas. So, therefore, you will find when the Kumaras are going to Vaikuntha and meeting Lord Vishnu, they just wanted to find out what's going on here. They are Brahmavadis in the beginning. Then you will find as Lord Vishnu appeared in front of them, the Kumaras got darshan of Vishnu. Immediately their Brahman conception went away. Tasya arvindanayanasya padaravinde kinjal kamishtra tulasi makaranda vayu antargatasva vivarena chakaratesham shangshobitam aksharajusham apichitta tanvu. That means their mind, their consciousness got purified by the mercy of the devotee Tulsi. Because by getting her fragrance into her nostrils and gradually into their heart, all the Aksharajisham got purified. Sangshobitam. Aksharajisham apichitta tanvu. Now they became devotees. Then they were saying, who is this person of Godhead Vishnu? Then you have seen that beautiful photo where Lord Vishnu is standing and the Kumaras are examining with their magnifying glass. Who is this, bluish black Vishnu? So attractive. More than Brahman. Isn't it? So Krishna is so attractive, he is attractive to the people who are purified. Isn't it? That is the attractive potency of Krishna. And therefore you will find Krishna is attractive to everyone. Everyone is attracted to Krishna. Krishna, many people think, they question, what kind of God do you worship? He roams around with unmarried girls. They question. But he doesn't embrace only a gopi. He embraces a calf. He plays tune according to peacock's choice. He asks, which tune do you want? Which note do you want me to play? And he plays the tune according to the peacock's choice. Peacock's choose. He can reciprocate with the trees. He can reciprocate with the fruits, with the insects, with the frogs. He can reciprocate with every living entity. So therefore Krishna is attractive to everyone. But whom is Krishna attracted to? Isn't it? That's another next question. So you will find Krishna is not attracted to every type of bhakti. In Nectar of Devotion it is given there are 6 characteristics of bhakti. First one is Kleshagnihi. Sanskrit and then English. Kleshagnihi. Kleshagnihi means removal of material miseries or reduction in the fire, how much we experience the fire of material existence. And second one is Shubhadha, that means auspiciousness is given. The devotee can experience that my life has become all auspicious just by practicing Krishna consciousness. And these two can even be practiced by Vaidhi Sadhana Bhaktas, all of us. Then the third one is Moksha Lagutakrit. That means moksha, liberation is minimized. The position of liberation is minimized. Like I think Vilumangal Thakur has this prayer. Mukti Mukulutanjali, something Sevatasmat. The devotee is busy worshipping the Lord and Mukti is standing by his doorside, ringing the doorbell, please accept me. He's saying, just 1 minute, I'm busy serving the Lord. Like Daruka, the charity of Krishna, he was fanning the Lord. And he was getting tears of ecstasy in his eyes and he was cursing, let this ecstasy go away just so that I can serve my dear Lord. How many of you say, let my taste go away so that I can serve more? I am only serving because there is taste. Once the taste goes away, you can see how pathetic our chanting will be in the morning. No taste. Those days we have taste, extra rounds. But those days there is no taste. Yeah, chanting will be complete at midnight. Yeah, isn't it? So therefore, this is the third one is the position of liberation is completely minimized by the devotees. They don't care for liberation. That means they don't mind troubles on the path of devotional service. As Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, whether happiness or distress, anything that arises out of service to Krishna is a great source of joy for me. Very high level of consciousness, isn't it? And then fourth one is last one. It is Sudurlabha. That means the bhakti which is attained. Now the third and the first four are applied to Bhav Bhakti. There are three types of bhakti. Sorry, I mentioned. There's Sadhana Bhakti, there's Bhava Bhakti and Prema Bhakti. So the first two, the Sadhana Bhaktas can also experience. The four of them, from Kleshagnihi to Sudurlabha, which means the bhakti is very rare. This is only applicable to Bhava Bhaktas who have attained that platform. So the Sadhana Bhakta is not rare. Though he is also rare, but amongst in a devotee circle, it's not rare. Everyone practices Sadhana Bhakti. But that Sadhana Bhakta who has fixed his mind upon Krishna and he has practiced good proper sadhana, where sadhana plus asakti. In our Bhakti Shastri course, he was explaining, Gauranga Krishna Prabhu was explaining, sadhana without asakti will not lead one anywhere. That means simply following rules without the eagerness to attain Krishna will keep one in the same position. But sadhana with asakti can lead to bhava bhakti. And that bhava bhakti is called as very rare. That's not easy to attain. And the fifth one is Sandra Atma, Visheshatma. That means the Krishna consciousness bliss is more condensed, like you have sweet condensed milk, a small can. So it's so sweet, you cannot handle it sometimes. When I take something so sweet, my throat burns and I cannot handle it. So this is also like that. Now the fifth and sixth is only accessible to Prema Bhaktas. And the last one is called as Sri Krishna Akarshan. That means this Prema Bhakti even attracts Krishna, the Supreme Person of Godhead. Why doesn't Krishna get attracted to all kinds of bhakti? Yes, he does help the sadhana devotee come up, but mixed devotional service is never attractive to such a person, to Krishna. What is attractive to Krishna is pure, unalloyed love. Therefore, we want to attain that platform. If our sadhana bhakti is attractive to Krishna, then we would have been staying in this platform for eternity. Because anyway, it's pleasing to Krishna. No. We want to go to further levels. We want to increase or mature our bhakti. Just because prema bhakti is what attracts Krishna. Isn't it? So, therefore, the whole world is attracted to Krishna, but Krishna is only attracted to the prema bhakti. And therefore, Atmarama, one can only be situated on the Atmarama platform if one actually cultivates this prema bhakti. And therefore it is called as Sri Krishna Akarshani. So you will find in CC there's a very beautiful verse with a very beautiful meter. It's like this. 17 to 10. Yeah. It is Madhya 17 to 10. Saundharyam lalanali dhairya dalanam Leela Stambhini Viryam Kandukitadri Varyamamala Pare Paradham Guna Sheelam Sarvajananurajanamaho Yasyayamasmat Prabhur Vishvam Vishvajanina Kirtiravatat Krishno Jagan Mohana. This is conversation between Shuka and Sari, the two parrots. Shuka is Radharani's parrot, male parrot, and Sari is Krishna's parrot, female parrot. So Shuka is singing this. The glorification of Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is beneficial to everyone in the universe. His beauty is victorious over the gopis of Vrindavan and it subdues their patience. His pastimes astound the goddess of fortune and his bodily strength turns Govardhan hill into a small toy like a ball. His spotless qualities are unlimited and his behavior satisfies everyone. Lord Krishna is attractive to everyone. Oh, may our Lord maintain the whole universe. That's what Shuka is singing. So beautiful. So, why am I talking about this? Because we are just discussing, we would discuss 1.7.10 Bhagavatam, where it is said, Atma Ramascha Munayo Nirgranti Ape Urukrame. Then, what was the third line? Something Ahaitu Bhaktim. Kurvanti Ahaitu Bhaktim. Ittam Bhuta Guno Harihi. The Atma Rama remain in their position just because of their attraction towards Krishna. Because Krishna keeps them there. Because Krishna is so attractive. Ittam Bhuto Guno Harihi means Krishna is an abode of good qualities. These, when we submerge our mind and our remembrance in Krishna, ocean of Krishna's qualities, then one actually remains in that position because everything else becomes completely tasteless. Therefore, we are discussing about what attracts Krishna. What attracts Krishna is prema bhakti. Before we come to that, let's just cover the purport. So, Prabhupada, till now we were talking about who an Atmarama is. And Prabhupada says Atmarama position can be attained by one who knows the truth as it is. Now, what is the truth? The Supreme Person of Godhead is the enjoyer, and living entities are meant for His service and enjoyment. We know Brahma, Rudra, Varunendra, Rudra, Marutas. Yam Brahma, Varunendra, Rudra, Marutas. Stunvanti Divyaistavai. That means all the demigods are glorifying the Supreme Person of Godhead. They are making out poems. They're glorifying Him through choices, poetry and verses and all these things. In Tirupati, every day in midnight something, I think 2 to 4 or this particular time, it's blocked only for the demigods to come and get darshan. Same time in Lord Jagannath also. For Lord Jagannath also. Every day it's blocked. A certain period of time before Brahma Muhurta is blocked for the demigods. See, for demigods, our 6 months is their 112 hours, isn't it? And our 1 day, 24 hours is their 1 day, 24 hours. 1 year is their 24 hours, isn't it? So if they are coming daily, and getting darshan, how often they are coming in a day, isn't it? They are coming very often for darshan of the Supreme Lord. Why? Because they know the truth. Krishna says in 10.8, Krishna says in 10.8 that Aham sarvasya prabhavaha matta sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajante mam buddhavava samanvitaha. Those people who actually understand that I am the one from whom all the material and spiritual worlds are emanating, such a devotee is most wise because he engages in my worship. That means if anyone understands Krishna, if anyone understands that Krishna is the Supreme Person of Godhead, if one truly understands, they can never not engage in Krishna's service. Just by understanding Krishna, if one actually understands His glory, one will be forced to serve Him. This is what 10.8 says. So if at all people are not ready to engage in menial service to Krishna, they are only seeking for limelight services, like preaching is, sitting on Bhāgavatam and speaking Bhāgavatam, sitting on big asan, having phone, it's not a very menial service, really. At least you get some name and fame, isn't it? Even if one doesn't speak so well, at least you get the garland, at least people are forced to sit and hear. At least online someone will see some fellow like this fellow exists in this world. So some amount of name and fame you get. But real service, if we really want to see what will actually make us advance, that service is called as menial service. And that will keep us humble. Therefore, His Grace Ainda Prabhu, when he would admit anyone in 24-hour Kirtan, he would first have them clean bathrooms, toilets. Yeah. He said this is the qualification. If he saw that these people are steady there, then you do kirtan, because kirtan is limelight service. Everyone is listening to you. So many people say your voice is so beautiful, and you play the instruments so well. And this kirtan was so ecstatic, Prabhu, just because of you. So it's a very highly fame attracting service, very dangerous. One who wants to Madhyamadikari, or one who is serious in Krishna consciousness, how do you understand he is serious? To the degree that person is serious about keeping Maya at bay. To that degree, he is a serious devotee. Therefore, devotees are very, very careful. I've seen so many, like once in Juhu temple, His Holiness Badrinath Maharaj was there. He just spoke a wonderful lecture. His lecture is always filled with Prabhupada pastimes. And then after the class, one young lady came and she was just trying to get attention of Maharaj, and she was saying, Maharaj, you spoke such a beautiful class and I like this point. Maharaj just looked at her for 30 seconds or something and just walked away. He didn't say anything. I was thinking, he's Maharaj and he's like her grandfather. What would it have been, like what would have gone wrong if he would have just at least spent some time and saying, oh, thank you and everything. She would have been encouraged. I was new at that time. Later on, it clicked me that why was Maharaj so strict? Because he's an advanced devotee. An advanced devotee is very strict with Maya. Why? Because on a white dhoti, you can easily see one black spot. Therefore, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Narottam Das Thakur is saying how fallen I am. I'm completely fallen in this material world. I'm completely entangled. For example, what is that song? Ar keno maya jale podetichi jivamina. What is Bhaktivinoda Thakur saying? I'm stuck like a fish is stuck in a fishing net. Similarly, I'm stuck and entangled in this world. Is Bhaktivinoda Thakur really entangled? Not at all. But their humility actually acts like a magnifying glass, where a small speck, and there's no speck, but they feel there is something here. There is some speck on my dhoti. I want to clean that also away. Isn't it? So an advanced devotee, he cannot tolerate even a speck of Maya. But on a black dhoti, take a black dot, can you even find it? Let me not use black. Say colorful dhoti. You tried putting some dot. No one can see it. And therefore, I was hearing Prabhupada memories. Prabhupada, when they would, in different temples, when they would put these carpets and polish Prabhupada's room, Prabhupada would always say, these nice carpets you have put here, they are too colorful, you can never make out the dirt. So always put white sheets. On all carpets, on all doormats, Prabhupada would put white sheets and have them washed daily. Why? Because you can make out the dirt. And this is the characteristic of a Atma Rama devotee. Very cautious about Maya. Isn't it? Therefore, Prabhupada says, one who knows this truth and who tries to engages all the resources in service of the Lord, he escapes all material reactions and influences of the modes of material nature. And the next paragraph, Prabhupada talks about, he gives a materialist versus a devotee. Both can be constructing, but the devotee has a better goal, a better vision for the purpose of the materials. Because he knows this wood is not my wood. This is Krishna's wood. He knows this cement is not my cement. Krishna's cement. Similarly, he knows the food which I am trying to enjoy is not my food. Krishna's food. So therefore, it's very important. Therefore, anyone who understands Krishna to be the proprietor, controller and enjoyer, and of course, he is a friend of all living entities, he attains peace because he knows goal of life is what? Just give what belongs to Krishna to Krishna. And will Krishna make you starve? No, he gives you abundant prasadam in return. Prasadam means what? That what is given, the remnants, is filled with Krishna's mercy. Why? Why am I saying this? Because Prabhupada says, this is the relationship between the devotees and the Lord. Devotees offer service, the Lord reciprocates with benediction, spiritual benedictions. And towards the end, Srila Prabhupada says in the purport, although both are engaged in the association of material activities, the devotee is liberated. But the materialist is conditioned. This is because the devotee who is constructing temple has fixed mind fixed on the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but a non-devotee doesn't. So, if you actually see, if you see the example of King Ambrish, I don't have this memorized. I'm just using all these sloka books. Okay, in 9.4, there's Maharaj Ambrish section. You will find, actually, if you study Ambrish Maharaj's section, you will find King Ambrish was the son of King Nabhaga. Now, King Ambrish, being son of Nabhaga, he was already told from childhood that if you attach yourself to matter, to material enjoyment, you will enter the darkest regions. You will go down, the consciousness will go down. And therefore, throughout his life, he always kept his consciousness up. How? By engaging all his senses in Krishna service. So if you read verses from 9.4, 17 to 20 or 26 or something like that, you will see what all King Ambrish would do. When he would get up, when he would sleep, when he would do his activities, everything was Krishna conscious. His life was completely centered on Krishna conscious. Many people think pure devotee means you have to be a complete, a completely renounced order. No. Srila Prabhupada says you can become a pure devotee while being in this world, but you will not be of this world. That means you are detached from this world. Padma Patra Ivambhasa. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita. That means you are like a lotus in the swamp. The lotus is completely clean, completely pure and transcendental to the swamp. You don't want to touch the swamp. We are attracted to the lotus. And King Ambrish was like this. Why? The verse is given. Just a minute. Yeah, this is 9.4.18. Because he engaged his mind, words, hands, ears and all his senses in Krishna service. Savai mana Krishna padara vindayor vachamsi vaikunta gunanuvarnane karau harer mandira marjanadishu shrutim chakara chuta satkathodaye. What does it mean? Savai mana Krishna padara vindayor. His mind was fixed on lotus feet of Krishna. Vachamsi vaikunta gunanavarnane. He used his tongue to glorify the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We can actually time how much are we glorifying Krishna from the Bhāgavatam. Other glorifications are fine, but Srila Prabhupada said we should be repeating the prayers of the pure devotees. They are the best of the prayers. Vachamsi vaikunta gunanu varnane. Karau harer mandira marjanadishu. He was king. He had many thousands of servants. He could have engaged thousands of servants to do thousands of other services for him. And he could be royally sitting on the throne. But Karau Harer Mandira Marjanadishu. He was using his own hands to clean the temple of the Lord. Ambrish Maharaj, yeah. See? And Shrutim Chakara Chutasat Kathodaye. Then he would make maximum amount of time to attend Bhagavatam classes. To discuss with devotees about the glories of Krishna. Sat Kathodaye means the supreme stories. The supreme subject matter of hearing. Not Ninam Sahasranam. What is that? In second canto it comes. Yeah, Shukadeva Goswami says that so many newspapers and so many thousands of matters for subject matters for hearing in this world. But what I am going to speak to is not like that. He condemns such hearing, useless hearing. Israel attacked Palestine and Palestine did this and they bombed that and that. This is all useless katha. Breaking news. It will break your heart. Isn't it? So much breaking news. Anytime you switch on TV, news channel, there's always breaking news. Still they don't understand Dukkalema Shashvatam. Isn't it? So in this way you will find King Ambrish perfected his life. Why? Because first of all, Savai Manah Krishna Padara Vindayor. Because the mind was fixed on Krishna, automatically his senses, which are subdued by the mind, which is under the mind, also engaged in Krishna service. Therefore, in the purport, Srila Prabhupada is saying, the consciousness can be uplifted. We can come to the topmost level of consciousness only when we engage or we fix our mind on the lotus feet of Krishna. The mind has to be fixed. Sometimes we are in the temple, but we can be in Maya. People, devotees can be outside the temple, staying outside, but they can be Krishna conscious. Why? Because you are where your mind is. It doesn't depend where your physical body is, but where is your mind. Therefore, we have to fix our mind on Krishna. And in the verse, the three modes are talked about. The three modes directly affect the mind. The influence of the three modes. What is it controlling? The three modes. It's controlling the mind. And therefore, Avanti Brahmana says, Naham jano me sukha dukkha hetuhu na devatatma graha karma kalaha mana param karanam amananti samsara chakram parivartayedyat. Avanti Brahmana is saying it is only because of the uncontrolled mind which is the true enemy of a transcendentalist, of anyone actually. And it's only because of this we experience happiness and distress. You control the mind, you will transcend dualities of this world. People can say, Prabhu, he is the one who spoke harshly to me. He is the one who keeps finding fault with me. He is the one who didn't give me prasadam. He gave everyone prasadam but me. He doesn't smile at me when he looks at me. He doesn't do services. None of these things are cause of happiness or distress. And it's not the demigods. It's not the Shani is happening in my life. Therefore I'm sad. Na devatatma graha karma kala. It's not because of my karma I suffer. That also he says. We say, no, I am suffering because of my karma. He says, not because of karma also. It's because of uncontrolled mind. So this was the most confusing for me. How can one suffer not because of karma? Yeah. I cannot hear you.
Suffering is actually a basis of vision. It's not actually like the Atma, the Jiva in itself isn't contaminated by material nature in itself, in its own nature, but because it's covered and the mind is covering that, the mind creates that suffering. So due to our specific, it's like if someone, let's say like I'm cooking and I burn something and you come and you slap me, like I could see that as either as like extreme mercy that, wow, like actually I need to do better, I'm very sorry. And that's not suffering actually. Then like that smack actually turns into like an opportunity to like progress. On the other hand, I could be very upset because my mind starts finding faults with you and starts saying all these things, and that's where the suffering actually comes.
Very good, yeah. Because by controlling the mind, you can become immune to suffering. Like His Holiness Chandramauli Maharaj says, in this world, suffering is inevitable. No, pain is inevitable, suffering is optional. There will be pain, but you don't have to suffer for it. If you're transcendental, if your mind is fixed on Krishna. So therefore, Atma Rama is one who has fixed his mind on Krishna, by doing which, whatever he does is Krishna conscious. Constructing a temple, we are using musical instruments, but we use to chant Hare Krishna. We chant and dance, not like people in disco. But we chant and dance for the pleasure of Krishna. We talk, not nonsense, but Krishna's glories. Why? Because the mind is fixed on Krishna. And the thing is, as we advance, the mind will be fixed on Krishna for longer periods of time. Therefore, one has to do his sadhana with asakti, with the greed. I want to become a better devotee. I want to attain Krishna. I want to know who Krishna is. With this greed, we can actually improve. And it would be incomplete if I end my talk saying, not talking about the morning program. So one just last sentence. When we get up early in the morning, chant Hare Krishna with the devotees, the morning 4 hours of morning program is 4 hours of Harinam Sankirtan. This is Harinam Sankirtan. What are we doing in the morning program? Everything together, chanting together, dancing together, hearing. This is also Harinam Sankirtan, hearing the glories of Harinam. Kirtan. Kirtan means kirti. Kirti means fame. Kirtan means that which is glorifying. So anything which is glorifying the Lord is called as Kirtan. Then you have Nama Kirtan, which glorifies Lord's holy names. Then you have Leela Kirtan, which glorifies Lord's Leela, pastimes. Then you have Guna Kirtan, Rupa Kirtan. This is all Kirtan. So the morning program is an opportunity for Harinam Sankirtan. So when we engage ourselves in the morning program, then we are practicing Harinam Sankirtan, the Yuga Dharma. Because sometimes it is often noticed that people think if I can come together and do with musical instruments, then only it's Harinam Sankirtan. No, it's not. Morning program is Harinam Sankirtan. You think Prabhupada would establish something so important and vital and it's not Yuga Dharma? Isn't it? So we should tell everyone, yes, get up for Harinam Sankirtan. This is the Yuga Dharma. Jeev Jago, Jeev Jago. They get up early in the morning. Do and come participate with the devotees. The whole temple should be vibrant, filled with devotees. Not only one or two, or some people only come when there are chances there to sing. Isn't it? Pathetic. It's not good. Some people will only come when certain aspects are there favorable to them. We should be there every time. If someone is only coming for when their turn comes for a chance singing Mangalarti, then they should say, today I've come here to listen. I've seen many senior devotees do. When they come, they're traveling and everything. So when they come once in a while, they say, I have only come here to listen. Because we have to participate in Harinam Sankirtan. So morning program is also Harinam Sankirtan. Hare Krishna. Granth Srimad Bhāgavatam ki, Srila Prabhupada ki. Excuse me.